October 1962 witnessed a nail-biting confrontation between the two superpowers, the US and the Soviet Union, putting the world on the brink of nuclear warfare. Soviet missiles stationed just 90 miles from the US shores in Cuba threatened America's national security. On October 22, President Kennedy informed the nation about the imminent threat, announcing a naval blockade around Cuba, emphasizing America's readiness for military action. But how did Cuba, under Fidel Castro's leadership, become the epicenter of this crisis? Cuba's allegiance to the Soviet Union and its increasing dependence on Soviet military and economic aid played pivotal roles. This alliance took place against the backdrop of the Cold War, a series of intense political and economic tussles between the US and the Soviets. The crisis intensified when an American U-2 spy plane, piloted by Major Richard Heiser, captured images of a Soviet SS-4 missile under assembly in Cuba. The alarming discovery led President Kennedy to assemble his Executive Committee, or EXCOM, which grappled with the situation's escalating intensity. The core concern? These missiles had the capability to strike major US cities in minutes. Khrushchev's motive behind sending these missiles was to balance the nuclear power equation, especially when US missiles in Western Europe and Turkey threatened the Soviets. Tensions between the US and Cuba had been high, especially after the US failed Bay of Pigs invasion. Both Castro and Khrushchev viewed these missiles as a deterrent against further US interventions. Kennedy's decisive action led to a US naval blockade around Cuba. His public announcement left the world holding its breath with fears of nuclear war escalating. The situation reached a boiling point on October 24 as Soviet ships approached the US blockade, with any breach potentially sparking a catastrophic confrontation. But in a dramatic turn, the ships halted, providing a glimmer of hope. Yet the crisis was far from over. An American reconnaissance plane was shot down over Cuba, escalating tensions and pushing both nations closer to the brink of war. Ultimately, a catastrophic conflict was averted when the US and the Soviets reached a historic agreement. The Soviets would withdraw their missiles from Cuba, and the US, in a secret pact, agreed to pull its missiles from Turkey and pledged not to invade Cuba. The Cuban Missile Crisis serves as a stark reminder of how diplomatic strategy, strong leadership, and the ability to compromise can prevent global disasters, even in the face of extreme adversities.